Welcome back. I'm Steve Petrunak, a member of the board of directors for the Clef organization. And today we are going to pick up with where we left off in the last video. This is the second part of the video covering diction in good ensemble vocal music. Today we are going to review the fricative consonant sound exercises that are great for building good diction. And then we'll end with a few tongue twister exercises that will again help us get to where we want to go in this good diction for vocal singing. The fricative sounds or consonant sounds are the V, F, S, Z, and TH sound. Okay? What we're going to do with these is we're going to get a sense of how these feel in our mouth before even putting any pitch to them. So we're going to slowly start with f, 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 v, 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 s, 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 z, 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 f, 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 f. So just going through them slowly at first, but then increase them to again heighten your awareness of what's going on with your mouth as you're doing these different fricatives. So that's the first exercise, is to just go through and get used to doing those without putting any pitch to them at all. Okay, so the second exercise for fricatives is we're going to do that same using the 5 vowel sounds that we used, but instead of the plosives, we're going to go to the fricative sounds. So on a D, start with fi, fe, fa, fo, fu, fi, fe, fa, fo, fu, and keep going all the way up. You can go all the way up to kind of a approaching your higher register, but not super high at this point. And then change from an F sound to, let's try the V sound. V, ve, va, vo, vu. And then compare that to f, v, f. Notice the difference in your consonant formation. Do the same with the S sound, the Z sound, and the TH sound. Okay, the third exercise. This is something where, again, part of the goal of these exercises and this work on consonant sounds is to get you to be aware, more aware of what's happening in your mouth as you're working on these. And so what we want to do is we want to try an exercise. We're going to go back to that same one we just did. Fi, fe, fa, fo, fu. But while we're doing it, I want you to think about where is your tongue while you're doing it. And I want you to experiment. So do it once, pushing your tongue as far in the back of your mouth as you can. Fi, fe, fa, fo, fu. And then take it and put it as far forward as you can. Fi, fe, fa, fo, fu. And see what the differences are between that tongue positioning. And what you want to do is you want to find the placement of your tongue that you think produces the best tone on those vowel forms that you're using with those fricatives. So this is a tough exercise because this is one you really need to do on your own, where you're really experimenting where that tongue is falling in these exercises. Okay, the fourth one. What we're going to do with this one is, again, with no pitch. This time, instead of just hitting these fricative consonants, we're going to put bursts of energy to them. So kind of think of like a staccato. Va, 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 s, 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 z, 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 And we want to do that exercise over and over, but we want to increase it as we go. So those quick bursts of air get us to be moving these articulators even quicker to being able to perform these fricatives correctly. Finally, just a note about these fricatives. There are actually what are called voiced fricatives and unvoiced fricatives. You've been hearing me already do it, but I'm going to clearly point out to you. So the voiced fricatives are the V sound and the Z sound. You can't do a V sound without creating some kind of pitch or sound. There has to be sound there in order to form it correctly. Same thing with a Z. Zebra. Z. You have to have that sound there. Whereas, for example, with an F, there's no sound coming from your voice. It's just the pure air moving through that F sound. And same with the S. So what we want to do is we want to just know the difference between these two. So going back and forth, back and forth through these consonants, and being aware of what ones need sound and what the feeling is and placement is versus the ones that don't. I'm going to do one very quick nasal consonant exercise, and then we'll get to the end. That is, on the same progressive pattern from 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, I want you to sing the word mingy. Mingy, 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 mingy. But when you sing mingy, be overly exaggerating the ending consonant sounds, or when you're closing down. Mingy, 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 mingy. Mingy, 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 mingy. Mingy, 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 mingy. And what I want you doing is be thinking about what is happening as you are closing down those sounds and making the nasal sound. First of all, what's happening when you close your mouth down? Where's your tongue placement? What's that sound that you're making? And what's the energy you're bringing to making that sound? Finally, there are 7 word exercises that can really help to heighten our diction. And they are tongue twisters. You've probably heard some of these when you were young. So for example, the first one, Peter Piper picked a peck of pickled peppers. Of course, that's something fun that we used to sing or say as a kid. But in this case, what you want to do is you want to be really diligent about your work with those P's and see if you can increase the speed on them. Peter Piper picked a peck of pickled peppers. Peter Piper picked a peck of pickled peppers, and push yourself to just be as articulate as you can. So that's the first one. Second one, how much wood would a woodchuck chuck if a woodchuck could chuck wood? Same thing. How much wood would a woodchuck chuck if a woodchuck could chuck wood? Take that tempo and increase it and see how fast you can still be accurate with the exercise, but using all of the proper diction all the way through it. She sells seashells by the seashore. Bouncing back and forth from the SH sound and the S sound is tricky. So working that one at an increasing speed would be helpful. This one I found particularly difficult. A proper copper coffee pot. A proper copper coffee pot. So you're moving between the P plosive and the K plosive, right? Proper copper, proper copper. So going back and forth again, you're working hard to nail those two plosives. 6 slippery snails slid silently. 6 slippery snails slid silently. Try to do that as quickly as you can and work with how long that S sound is. Sometimes we tend to sing our S's too long. So try to shorten it. 6, slippery, snails, slid, silently. Make it as short of an S sound as you can. Just play with it and see if you can increase the speed and still be accurate. I found this one tough too. Fred, fed, Ted, bread. Fred fed Ted bread. And Ted fed Fred bread. That is crazy. Fred fed Ted bread and Ted fed Fred bread. So there's a lot of diction work that's going back and forth in that exercise. And then this is just a simple one. Betty Botter bought some butter. Try to be as explosive with the B sound. Betty Botter bought some butter. Betty Botter bought some butter. Betty Botter bought some butter. Just try to increase it and make them quicker as you go along. There's a lot here. This is not something that you can just employ overnight, and it takes practice. I want you to think of something. If you are a singer who just comes to practice and starts singing when you're at practice, and the only time that you're really singing is when you're at rehearsal practicing and when you're at mass singing, it's not enough. We need to understand that this kind of work, this kind of intense work on our diction is the work of time. And the more we do it, the more we practice and rehearse these exercises, the better we become and the more impact it has on the overall singing of the ministry. I challenge you to this. Just try 2 months. Take 2 months and set a goal of hitting these exercises 20 minutes a day for 4 out of 7 days in the week. And do 8 weeks of these. And see what happens to your singing. See if while you're singing text at rehearsals, you're seeing the consonants jump out at you on the music more than what they have. Measure your readiness for those consonants and your ability to jump into those consonants. It makes a world of difference in our assembly's ability to understand what we're singing. And isn't that the goal of our ministry, is to assist them in their singing? And if they can't understand what we're singing, we're missing the boat. So take it seriously. Work hard on taking these exercises and really enhancing the diction that you bring to your singing.